One day, that childhood friend, the one who stuck with you through thick and thin for over a decade, just acts like you're a stranger. No warning, no fight. The stories you used to share, the memories you once thought were unbreakable, now feel like pages from a closed book. When you see each other again, it's nothing more than a polite nod, a forced smile, and silence. The closeness disappears like it never existed. And the worst part, no one even tries to fix it. Then there's that object, maybe a gift, a photo, something you always held dear. But then you learn something about it, or the person behind it, that changes everything. Now, every time you look at it, your chest tightens. You smile, sure, but it's a quiet, painful smile. You don't want to throw it away, but keeping it only brings more ache. So what do? Let go and grieve? Or hold on and hurt? Now imagine waking up one day, dragging yourself out of bed, dreading the job you once loved. Every morning feels like a battle. You used to feel excited. Now it's just routine, pressure, burnout. You sit for hours, staring at the screen or the clock, wondering what happened to the spark. And then there's love. Maybe it was someone who once swore they'd never leave. They made promises, big ones. You believed them. You gave your all. But one day, you see them laughing, holding hands with someone else. And when they pass you by, they don't even flinch. You're just another face in the crowd now. What if all of these things hit you at once? The friend who vanished, the memory that now stings, the job you can't stand, the love that's gone. You'd probably sit there, broken, wondering, why me? What did I do wrong? Why does life feel so unfair when all I did was care? Let's be honest, most of us have faced some version of this. Maybe not all at once, but enough to shake us. And it's okay to feel sad. It's okay to feel lost. Life doesn't always give us warnings. One day you're fine, and the next you're left questioning everything. But here's the thing. Even if it feels like the world is turning against you, it doesn't mean you're broken. It just means something's changing. Maybe not the way you want, but perhaps in a way you need, even if you don't see it yet. When everything feels like it's slipping out of your hands, the first thing you need to do is stop and breathe. It's easy to get swept up in the chaos of emotions, frustration, grief, confusion, but you have to give yourself permission to feel without judgment. You're allowed to cry, to be upset. But you're not allowed to give up on yourself. That's the one rule. Because if you stop believing in yourself, how can you expect anyone else to? Don't let one bad day, or even one bad chapter, convince you that your entire story is ruined. Life isn't fair, we all know that. But blaming yourself for how people treat you? That's a weight you don't need to carry. Their actions say more about them than they do about you. Here's a little analogy. Imagine you're holding a piece of candy. You offer it to different people. A child might take it excitedly and enjoy every bite. Someone on a diet might politely decline. Someone feeling sick might even frown at the offer. But is the candy bad? Number. The candy's the same. It's the reactions that differ. That's life. You could give your best to everyone, but not everyone will appreciate it the same way. And that's not your fault. This is why it's important not to let other people's reactions define your worth. People perceive things through their own lenses, shaped by their mood, their past, their biases. Some will see the good in you, some won't. That doesn't mean you should change who you are just to fit into their version of the world. Instead, let those moments pass. Let them move through your life like wind through an open window. Here one moment, gone the next. Some people will learn to let go. Others will hold grudges. Some will romanticize the past, while others will feel weighed down by it. But you get to choose what you carry and what you leave behind. Emotions are powerful, but they're not permanent. Don't give them the power to define you. A bad situation doesn't mean a bad life. It just means you're human. And every human being goes through moments of doubt, pain, and loss. What matters is what comes after that. So, what will you do with your pain? Will you let it bury you, or will you use it to build something stronger? Change isn't the enemy. In fact, it's the one thing you can count on. Look around. Everything in nature changes. The seasons shift. Trees lose their leaves and grow them back. The sun rises, sets, and makes way for the moon. Nothing stays the same, and neither do we. Remember being 5 years old? The world felt huge and full of magic. If you cried, someone came running. If you were hungry, someone fed you. Then you went to school, and life got a little more complicated. You learned about friends, pressure, success, and failure. What mattered then was grades, approval, belonging. Fast forward to college. Suddenly, the world got real. You had to make choices, big ones. What to study, where to go, who to trust. The late-night talks got deeper. The fears got louder. You weren't that carefree kid anymore. Then came work, maybe even marriage or parenthood. And suddenly, the same emotions you used to shout out loud, you now kept to yourself. You couldn't just break down whenever you wanted. You had to hold it together, smile on the outside, storm on the inside. Because now, people depended on you. That's growth, that's change, and it's not always easy. Sometimes you lose friends, people drift, priorities shift. Someone you used to talk to every day becomes a stranger. Not because either of you did something wrong, but because time moved on, and you both changed. But that's okay. That's life. Think of it like this. When you meet an old friend after years apart, and even if you only share a few quiet laughs over a cup of tea, that moment still holds beauty. Not because things are the same, but because you've both grown, and yet there's still connection. We often mourn the past, but the truth is, we're not meant to stay the same. You're not supposed to be who you were at 15, or even last year. Change is how we survive, how we adapt, how we learn what really matters. So if it feels like the world is shifting beneath your feet, it is. But maybe that's not a bad thing. Maybe it's just life pushing you forward into the next version of yourself. Here's something powerful to remember. Change doesn't just happen to you. You get to choose it. Sure, life throws curveballs. People leave. Plans fall apart. But how you respond, that's your choice. And the kind of change you make, that's your responsibility. We've all heard the phrase, everyone changes. And that's true. But not all change is the same. Some people drift into negativity. Others rise above it. The key difference? Intention. Change isn't random. It's a decision. It comes from asking hard questions, making tough calls, and choosing the path that fits who you want to become. Think about it. When you applied for college, you didn't pick a school at random. You looked at options, weighed the pros and cons, and made a choice based on your dreams and goals. That was you steering your life, not just letting it happen. So when someone you loved walks away and you say, they've changed, remember, they probably made a choice. Maybe they stood at a crossroads, saw where you were going, and decided their path was different. And yes, it hurts. But it's not betrayal, it's life. Change is not the villain here. It's just the byproduct of choice. And the same goes for your work. If your job has lost its spark, you can complain or you can evolve. The market changes, industries shift. If you stay the same, you fall behind. But if you learn, grow, adapt, you move forward, you thrive. The truth is, you can stay the same. No one's forcing you to grow. But if you don't be surprised when life feels stuck, or worse, when it leaves you behind. That's why people often joke, change or die. And in some ways, it's not really a joke. Because in a world that's always moving, standing still is the quickest way to disappear. So don't fear change. Don't wait for someone else to push you. Make the call. Choose the version of you that matches the life you want to live. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be willing to evolve. There's a big difference between choosing to change and being forced to. When you change from within, you're in control. You're the one steering the ship, deciding the direction. But when change is forced on you, when life decides instead of you, you often feel lost, like you're scrambling to catch up. That's why it's so important to act before you're pushed. To take the initiative, not just react. Let's be real. No one enjoys discomfort. No one wakes up hoping for heartbreak, loss, or uncertainty. But discomfort is often the push we need to grow. It's life's way of saying, hey, you can't stay here anymore. The question is, will you move voluntarily or wait until there's no other choice? Changing by choice means recognizing when something no longer fits. It means listening to your intuition, noticing when your values shift, or when something that once brought joy now brings stress. It's not about being impulsive, it's about being aware, honest, brave. Because if you wait too long, you might find yourself forced into a version of change that hurts more, like getting laid off because you didn't adapt, losing a relationship because you stopped showing up, drifting through life because you were too afraid to choose a direction. Change doesn't ask for perfection. It asks for effort, a little every day, shifting your habits, rethinking your beliefs, letting go of what no longer serves you, even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. And remember this, the world is not against you. It's not out to get you. Sometimes, it's just nudging you to see more, do more, become more. What feels like chaos now might be the very thing that leads you to clarity. So, before life forces you to let go, take a moment and ask yourself, what can I release today, by choice? What version of me am I willing to become? The world has already changed. The people around you have changed. The only question left is, have you?